and welcome to my channel. Today I'll be talking about the top reasons why you should not get a hamster. So I don't want anybody to take offense to this. These are just my opinions and what I believe. So these are just all my reasons as to why you shouldn't get a hamster. If you would like to see a video on why you should adopt a hamster, then let me know down below and I will be sure to film that, of course. So now that we have got that taken care of, let's just get right into the video. Hamsters aren't meant to be starter pets. Many people get their hamster or before they get a hamster, they're like, oh, this would be perfect to teach my child on how to take care of a pet, to be responsible, and just things like that. But hamsters aren't that. Hamsters are actually very high maintenance, like I've mentioned before. You honestly need to put in a lot of effort and time into their care. Just because they are small animals do not mean they need small care. It is actually quite the opposite. If you watch a few videos on the hamsters, like up-to-date ones, you will soon learn just how much hamsters actually need, and even what we're giving them that can be like the most, and like a DIY or just things like that. And some hamsters still aren't happy. Some hamsters still want more. So hamsters aren't very good starter pets. They're just not very good starter pets. I don't think no pet is really a good starter pet. People might think a fish might be a good starter pet. Fish are like very much up there when it comes to trying to care for them, because you have to be so specific with them. So I don't even think fish is a good starter pet. I don't think no pet should be a starter pet. All pets are living, they're breathing things, so they should be cared for as so. Many people get a hamster and they're like, okay, cool, I can only pay like maybe like $20 for a cage, maybe like a little bit of food, a little bit of bedding, and like that's it. Like they can just go off to the side, like they don't have to worry about them. But really, like, there's so much that needs to go into them. They can get bored, they get stressed out just like any other animal. They aren't very good starter pets. So that's just my first reason as to why you should not adopt a hamster. Another reason is, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of people like to get them for kids just because they think it'll be perfect for them, because something small that they can have on the side that won't take much work. Well, much work, but a lot of kids or people also don't know or realize that they are nocturnal, which simply means while you're up during the day, they're asleep, so you're not seeing them. So you have to be okay with not seeing your hamster for like sometimes like a night or two, especially if you are the type of person who likes to go to bed early. Is like the sad reality is that you might have days where you just don't see them at all, and it's perfectly normal. Like, it's okay as long as you're making sure that the hamster is of course alive the whole time, by making sure the food and water is being used and just making sure that like it looks like your hamsters came out. But a lot of people don't realize that this is a pet that you won't always be able to interact with. You do have to keep that in mind, that you might not always see your hamster. You might not get to hug them. Well, you might not get to be able to pick them up, pet them all the time, because some hamsters just simply don't like to be held. Some don't like to be interacted with. Some are more content on being on their own. So you do have to be okay with this. I know some people, when they have a pet, they'd rather be able to play with them and do all these other things, and sometimes you just can't do that with a hamster. Another reason is if there's anything that happens to your hamster, like anything medically wrong, and you think it could be an emergency, you have to be able to take that pet to the vet. And it is really hard to find a small pet vet that also will be okay with working on hamsters, because they are so small. The risk is much higher, so a lot of vets just don't like to work on them, on smaller animals. So you have to worry about that with finding a vet. And you also have to worry about like the expensive vet bills, just because, like I mentioned earlier, that they're small does not mean that they need small care. They still need just as much care as any other pet would. So you have to be okay with not only finding a vet that will work on the hamster, but also being okay with spending for that vet bill, because it could be a lot pricier. The next thing I'm going to talk about is a lot of people get a hamster and they're like, oh, we should get another one, like another friend for them, and they don't know or do their proper research on knowing that you can't have multiple hamsters at once. I know there's like a big debate between this, and like there's a lot like ifs, ands, and buts, and if this, if that, but like the majority of the time you shouldn't have a hamster with another hamster, especially if it's your first time owning a hamster on top of that, because you don't know everything that goes into it. And you also have to worry about litters. There's just a lot of things that can accidentally go wrong. Even if an experienced hamster owner has a hamster with another hamster, they still have to worry about anything happening. They still have to watch and monitor. So hamsters are just one at a time. So even if you see multiple at once, just because you see in pet stores does not mean that you can replicate that. You should replicate that at home. Another reason that we also talked about earlier is how they're nocturnal, which means while you're trying to sleep at night, there's a very high chance you will be hearing your hamster at night, because this is for him his daytime. This is when his day's just getting started. He's exploring, he's eating, he's doing all the things that a hamster does. So take your life and flip it with theirs. So while you're up and moving around and he's asleep, he's probably like, oh, there's so much noise going on out there. What is going on? And then when you're asleep, he's like awake, doing everything, not thinking anything of it. So you do have to also be okay with potentially hearing noise. Of course, if you have a loud wheel, this will, of course, keep you awake at night. I know a lot of people get a loud wheel and it's so loud to where they can't sleep, or they feel like they need to put the hamster in another room at night, or just relocate the hamster completely. So you do have to keep this in mind. Of course, there are ways you can get around this noise. I hear no noise at night, and I'm pretty sure it's because I have not only a silent wheel, but like nothing that's too loud inside the enclosure. So doing that and just make sure there's nothing loud in his enclosure at night. I hear nothing at night, so it's completely silent. Even I know he's awake, because like I literally will see him out, but it's super quiet. So you do have to think about those things. You have to be potentially okay with hearing loud noises at night, because sometimes they will be. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is hamsters don't live for a very long time. It is really sad when you think about it. They have a very short lifespan. The max is usually about 2 to 3 years, depending on which species of hamsters and your hamster care. So depending on your hamster, you might not be able to keep them for a long time, which a lot of people don't like, or they don't know, or they don't think about. So they often, of course, will be sad and be unexpected and might think their hamster didn't live for a long time, but really they just don't have a very long lifespan. Of course, you can lengthen this as much as you can by taking care of them, keeping their stress level low, and just providing a lot of enrichment and just a lot of good care for them as much as you can. Those are just my reasons as to why you should not get a hamster. Of course, like I said earlier, if you'd like to see the reasons on why you should get a hamster, I can make a video for that. Just let me know down in the comment box below. There are of course other reasons why you shouldn't get a hamster, but this video would be like crazy long if I did every single one reason. I just thought I would do like some of the most important reasons that you should consider before you decide to get a hamster. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and also subscribe. It really helps me a lot. And thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in my next video. Bye.